The lost tape. I found the tape in a cardboard box at the back of my late uncle's garage. It was buried under rusted tools and old photo albums. The label was handwritten in black marker. Do not watch. Of course, I watched it. The footage started with static, then a flicker of dim light, a hallway, long, narrow, and yellow. The walls were stained, the carpet damp, and there was a low humming sound, like a dying fluorescent bulb. The camera shook slightly, as if the person holding it was nervous or shivering. I could hear breathing, shallow, rapid. The person holding the camera was whispering to himself. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. He walked forward slowly. Every few steps, he stopped and turned the camera behind him. Nothing. Just the same yellow walls and endless hallway. At first, I thought it was some sort of prank or art film. But then things started changing. The hallway began to stretch. Doors appeared and disappeared. The wallpaper would flicker from striped to plain and back again. Time felt strange. I couldn't tell how long the person had been walking. Then the whispering started, not from the man, but from somewhere deeper in the tape. Voices, layered, echoing, calling his name. Michael! Michael! He panicked. He began to run. The camera jostled violently. The humming grew louder, mixed with static. Something chased him, but it never appeared on screen. Only its shadow. A tall, thin silhouette that flickered with the static, like it wasn't fully there. He turned corners, opened doors that led to nowhere. Empty rooms, staircases that went up forever, elevators with no buttons. He cried, pleaded. Let me out. Please, I want to go home. There was no answer. Then the footage cut. More static. But the tape wasn't over. The next shot was darker. Night vision kicked in. He was in a room filled with mirrors, but none of them showed his reflection. Only the empty room behind him, and in one of the mirrors, something stood beside him. It didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. He screamed. The camera dropped, it cut again. Now he was sitting in a small, windowless room, hugging his knees. His hair was longer, beard unshaven. Days or weeks must have passed. He looked at the camera directly. If someone's watching this, please destroy it. It doesn't want to be seen. It doesn't want to be known. If you're hearing my voice, it's already too late. Then, silence. A single frame flashed for half a second, a close-up of a face, but wrong. Too many eyes, no mouth, grainy, almost subliminal. Then, black screen. I stared for minutes, waiting for something else. But the tape ended. I tried to eject it from the player. It wouldn't come out. The screen flickered again. The hallway returned. And this time I wasn't watching someone else walk down it. It was me. The camera showed my hands, my breathing, my voice whispering, I shouldn't be here. Now every time I close my eyes, I'm there, in that hallway. The hum follows me. The doors shift. Something waits, just behind the wall. I burned the tape. I smashed the VCR. It didn't help. Because every time I fall asleep, the hallway calls me back. And each time it takes me a little deeper. If you're hearing this voice, it's already started for you too. You've seen it now. You can't unwatch it. Run. I arrived at the old house by accident. It was hidden behind overgrown hedges at the end of a forgotten cul-de-sac. I'd been driving home late, looking for a detour around the city lights. My GPS led me here, through winding roads, trees brushing the car roof. Then the map flickered, pixelated, and finally displayed only bright blue until the signal vanished. No obvious reason to stop, but I felt drawn. The front door stood slightly ajar, darkness inside. My heart said, turn back, but I stepped forward. Inside was silence. Besides the occasional creak of floorboards, nothing. No wind, no distant traffic, just the hush of old insulation. The hallway stretched ahead, walls faded yellow, carpet worn down. No streetlights, no windows, just that endless corridor. I called out, No response. I noticed my phone was dead, battery drained to 0. My pulse quickened. I thought I should leave. But curiosity edged me on. I walked. Each step echoed. The walls were damp. I shoved open the first door I saw, a small closet, hangers, moth-eaten coats, a dim bulb overhead buzzing. I saw my reflection in a dusty mirror. I looked pale, confused. I turned around. More corridor, no room behind me. Panic nudged me. I walked further. At times the corridor branched, then looped back. Doors labeled with faded numbers, 1, 2, 3. Then they stopped. No labels. The floorboards felt uneven. Every few steps, a slight drop, as if the floor shifted beneath me. Soft sounds began. A hum, low, constant, like a dying fridge. Distant footsteps behind me, or so I thought. I paused. Silence. I ran my hand down the wall, rough plaster, but soggy. Tile glass rattled above my head, as though something moved overhead. There were no windows, no stairs, only more doors. I opened a door and found an elevator, but the interior was pitch black and smelled of mold. The buttons were gone. I didn't wait to see what happened. I shut it immediately. As I moved on, the hum grew louder, and voices, not full sentences, just names. My name, whispered, Jake. Jake. It came from everywhere but from nowhere. I fought the panic, but something urged me to keep going. I opened another door into a room that looked like a living room. Old sofas, dust covers draped over them, an old television. On the screen, static. I reached out. The static cleared for a moment. I saw someone, me, standing in that hallway behind me. But I hadn't turned around. I whirled. Nothing. I looked back at the TV. Static again. I left the room. The corridor had changed. Now the walls were green. Drapes hung from ceiling rails, though there was no ceiling. I tried each door. Locked. I turned down another stretch, and the humming faded out. Silence again. Then I heard something scrape behind a wall, like metal on concrete. I stood dead still. Scrape, scrape. It stopped. Then a drop, a footstep, soft. I screamed. I don't even know what I screamed. I took off running. The corridors twirled, looped, shifted. I slammed into walls, knocked over chairs that appeared in the hallway, scattered debris, glass shards. I burst into another room, this one tiled. A bathroom, maybe. White ceramic stalls. I tried a stall door. Locked. I ran out. The corridor's humming returned. Louder. It throbbed in my chest. I collapsed. I didn't know how long I sat there. Maybe hours. My breath came in waves. I felt eyes on me. That sense of being watched. I closed my eyes. I heard a whisper right in my ear. You belong. I snapped my eyes open. No one visible. The same corridor. But I felt changed. Like I had entered something that changed me. My hands shook. I got up. I pressed on. Rooms became darker. Corridors narrower. Low humming blended with static. I began seeing shapes just out of sight. Reflections in glass that vanished when I moved. Shadows flickered at the corners of my vision. My mind raced. Was I imagining this? Then I found what looked like a dead end, but when I pressed on the wall, it swung open. Formal dining room, long table, dozens of chairs, all dusty. On the table, a single old VHS tape case, no label. I picked it up, feeling its weight. I flicked the lid. It was empty. I put it in my pocket. Something urged me on. As I passed through the table, the chairs began to rattle, shaking violently as though thrown by an unseen hand. I backpedaled. Chairs fell. Darkness closed in. I sprinted through a doorway ahead and found an office. Papers strewn, calendar pages torn, notes scribbled. Find her. She's in here. Get out while you can. No name. I touched one. Unreadable. My phone flickered to life. 1% battery. I gasped. The screen read, low signal. 4:13 a.m. There was no way to tell if that meant anything. I had lost track of time days ago. I looked up. The back of the room had a large mirror. I stepped toward it, but the reflection, it wasn't mine. Not fully. My eyes looked darker, depicted with black hollows. My expression was twisted, as though watching me with hatred. I staggered back. The silence between stars. Dustin Marin stood at the center of the galactic crucible. The Valkorian High Assembly Hall loomed like a monolith carved from black ice, its spires rising above the clouds of Cirrus 9. Every eye in the cosmos, human and otherwise, watched him. He wasn't the first human to stand here, but he was the first to do so not as a prisoner or a curiosity, but as a diplomat. A representative of a species once confined to its pale blue dot. The dome's ambient light dimmed. All sound ceased. From the upper tiers of the amphitheater, Chancellor HFY of the Drazim Confederation rose. A multi-limbed being of crystalline sinew and vibrating chords, it addressed the room through a harmonic translator. The floor yields to earth. Speak, Dustin Marin. He didn't smile, didn't bow. He simply stepped forward, the weight of war and hope stitched into the seams of his dark suit. Today is not about concessions, Marin began, nor is it about silent victories. Today is about presence, about standing here as equals. Billions watched as he spoke of Earth's suffering, of its rise from tribalism, of the scars left by the soul wars. He spoke not as a superior, nor as a supplicant, but as one voice among the stars, finally heard. But beneath the assembly hall, deep in the reactor cores that powered the city world, something stirred. In Sector 7 Gamma, an anomaly blinked to life. Technician Lyra Yao, stationed in the observation ring, was the first to see it. A pulse, rhythmic, almost intentional. She leaned closer. Her monitor glitched, then stabilized. The pulse continued. Not electromagnetic, not quantum interference. A signal. Command, this is Yao. I have a pattern in the deep field unregistered and I think it's responding to our scans. Back in the assembly hall, Marin paused. His earpiece crackled. Dustin, something's happening beneath the city. We're running a trace, but you should stall. He pivoted seamlessly. Let me tell you about the cost of isolation, he said, buying time. When Earth was young, we believed the stars were gods. We feared them. We worshipped them. But we never expected them to speak back. In the sublevels, Yao traced the signal's source. It wasn't external. It was coming from the assembly's core, from beneath the foundation. Something ancient, older than the city, older than the assembly. The signal resolved into language, primitive, pre-galactic. The system ran. Yao recoiled. Her console went black. At the same moment, above, the great hologram of Marin flickered, then warped. His image was replaced with a shape, circular, shifting, fractal. The assembly gasped. Some delegates began to rise, murmuring in their native tongues. What is this? HFY demanded. But Marin's voice was calm, cold. I don't know, but I think we just woke up something that's been listening for a long time. The chamber shook. From the floor beneath Marin, a seam split open. Light poured out, not warm or cold, but vast, without temperature, without time. Marin stepped back, the delegates fled. Only a few stayed, the brave, the curious, the damned. Yao arrived moments later, breathless. It's not just a signal, she whispered. It's a door. From the light emerged a figure, not alien, not machine, something in between. It spoke not aloud, but into their minds. You build your houses on our bones, you speak your truth above our silence, we remember. The room warped. Memories bled into reality. Delegates saw their histories, their genocides, their betrayals. No one was spared. Marin fell to his knees. He saw Earth burn in 10,000 futures. Yao screamed, "We need to shut it down!" But the figure turned to her. There is no shutdown, only acknowledgement, only choice. You opened the door. Hours passed, or maybe seconds. Time frayed around the light. When it finally receded, the assembly was empty, silent. Only Marin remained. He stood slowly, the fracture in the floor sealed behind him. His earpiece crackled again. "Dustin, status!" He looked up. "We're not alone. We were never alone. We just forgot how to listen." Far beyond the galaxy, something stirred in answer. A second signal, then a third. The stars began to whisper, and this time, someone was listening.